So today we'll start with the revision classes. Okay, from today onwards, next few classes will be your revision classes for your upcoming test. Okay, so we'll start with the first chapter, that is power sharing. Now I will be dealing with various things that were taught to you in the first chapter in quick detail. Okay, now you need to recall the things that were there, right, as I continue teaching you. Okay, all right. So you remember that in power sharing, while I started, I told you what is power, right? So power is the behavior, is the capacity to control the behavior or to influence the behavior of others. Now, power does not rest with any one person in a democracy, right? And that is why, with the coming time or with the passing time, earlier, gradually what happened was democracy came to be idealized as a form of government, right? And this we will try and give you the example by understanding the stories of two important countries, that is Belgium and Sri Lanka. So, as you all know, that Belgium is a small country in Europe, sharing its borders with Netherlands, France, and Germany. Now, about the ethnic composition of this small country, if you see, then 59% of them they live in the Flemish region and they speak Dutch. So here, if you remember, the major problem were with Dutch-speaking population and the French-speaking population, right? So it was just very clear that the Dutch-speaking population, okay, who were basically they were less in number, right? 59% of the population lived in the Flemish region and they spoke Dutch language. Another 40% lived in the Wallonia region and they spoke French. But if you see, then the importance was about Brussels. So Brussels was a place where 80% of the population spoke French while 20% spoke Dutch. Now here percent word is missing. This is just to make it easier for you to understand that in the earlier slide where I told you about this, I made you understand that with the help of a pie chart, right? Here I'm giving you an easy number just to remember. Dutch speaking 20 and French speaking 80, right? So that you understand it. Okay, now naturally if the French speaking was 80, then they were rich and powerful, and Dutch speaking were just 20%. Okay, how did they manage was all about the power sharing. How the country managed both these language speaking people is all that you have to know and understand, right? Also in Sri Lanka, if you remember, then the Sinhala speaking people were in majority, right? They were also the Buddhist people, whereas the Tamil speaking people, they were less in number and they were maximum Hindus and Muslims. Okay, the 7% of them were the Christians that were both Tamil and Sinhala. So naturally what happened there was, since Sinhala community people were more in numbers, they secured dominance over the government, right? And since they secured dominance over the government, the Indian Tamils, that is the Tamilians there, felt alienated, right? In 1956, an act was passed where it was recognized that Sinhala will be the official language in Sri Lanka, where they disregarded the Tamilians and the language Tamil. Thus, there was a feeling of alienation among the Sri Lankan Tamils. Whereas what happened in Belgium was accommodation. Now you see that in the case in Sri Lanka was not easily, accommodated. Somehow there was not equality that was accepted. Why? Because in a very easy way out, Sinhala community secured dominance due to the numbers, what is referred to as a majoritarian government. Okay, right? The term majoritarianism, where majority community should be able to rule a country in whichever way they want by disregarding the needs of the minority, right? And the that government was democratically elected, so they adopted majoritarian measures for their supremacy, and Tamilians were disregarded. Now, naturally, if this is gonna happen, if this is what was happening at that point of time in Sri Lanka, then there will be an effect, a reaction from the Sri Lankan Tamils. I hope you remember the difference of Sri Lankan Tamils and the Indian Tamils, right? Sri Lankan Tamils were the ones who were there residing in Sri Lanka, right? Tamil natives of the country were your Sri Lankan Tamils. The rest, whose forefathers came from India as plantation workers during the colonial period, were the Indian Tamils, right? So, alienation, the feeling of alienation was common for both. Okay, there was no difference in that, right? Now, since they felt alienated, there was a reaction, right? They demanded their equality, right? And gradually they felt that the constitution and the government policies denied them equal political rights. The relations between Sinhala and Tamil communities strained over time, and they started demanding the recognition for the language of Tamil. Their demand for more autonomy also was there, but that was, completely denied. They started demanding an independent Tamil Elam state, and such distrust resulted into a civil war. But what happened in Belgium, their method was different. There was accommodation. Belgium, there the constitution prescribed the number of Dutch and French speaking ministers shall be equal in the central government. Many powers of the central government were given to the state government. The state government was no more subordinate. Brussels had a separate government in which both the communities have the equal representation. So, such was the management of Belgium. There was also the establishment of the community government that was a highlight of Belgium accommodation. Right. And why did this community government came? Because it was for the people who belonged to the one language community, be it Dutch, French, and German speaking, no matter where they live. So this government has a power regarding the culture, education, language related issues, and definitely it did help the people then. So both were democracies, yet they dealt with the question of power sharing differently. Right? Now, what was the importance of power sharing? I have this slide as a repeated slide because you have to understand it this way, that there has been a prudential reason, there has been a moral reason. So power sharing reduces the possibility of conflict between the social group. It is the very spirit of democracy. Imposing the will of majority community over others is good for a short run only. And if you see the moral reason, then a democratic rule involves a sharing of power. No matter you are in majority or in minority, you must learn to share power. Unless you do that, then your majoritarian government is going to be in peace maybe for a short time. But if you have a government that is based on the principles of democracy, true democracy, equality, right, then there will be less disturbance, less instability, less reactions from the ones who may feel alienated, as the example of Sri Lanka you have, right? You have the tyranny of majority is oppressive for minority, and ultimately it becomes oppressive for majority itself. Why? Because due to this tyranny of majority, minority suffers, and finally the minority gets to reach at a point where they do not want to tolerate anymore, and there will be a reaction which becomes in that results rather in instability of the government set up on the terms of majoritarianism, right? Then prudential reason says that it undermines the unity of the nation, because there are differences, majority and minority. And here in moral reason you have a legitimate government if you go on with the principles of democracy. Okay, because here the leader is chosen. A legitimate government is one where citizens through participation acquire a stake in the system, right? But here there are more people participating, they are involving themselves, they are being a part of the government. At each and every level they are participating, they are giving their opinions, right? Their opinions are addressed, taken, considered, listened, answered, right? So that is about the importance of power sharing. Now let's come to the forms of power sharing. As far as the forms of power sharing is concerned, it is very well explained to you that power is shared among different organs of the government, that is legislature, executive and judiciary. Okay, now since they are in one at the same level, okay, it allows the different governments placed at the same level to exercise different powers. That is why it is a horizontal distribution of power sharing, because they are in one, there is legislature, executive, judiciary, no one is above each other. Okay, they are at the same level, but they have different powers, and that is why that is a horizontal power sharing. Now you know that legislature, executive and judiciary, they have their different powers, but each organ checks the other. There is nobody solely autonomous, right? Each organ checks the other in some way or other way out. Also, even though ministers and government officials exercise powers, they are responsible to the parliament, and although judges are appointed by the executive, they can check the functioning of the executive or the laws made by the legislatures. That is why it is known as a system of checks and balances. Now, power is shared at different levels of the government as well. You know that there are two levels of the government. One, that the government which works for the entire country, that is at the national level, okay, which is your central government, union government. And then you have the government at the provincial or the regional level, that is a state level government. Okay, now state level governments are known with different names in different parts of the country. Okay, this division of power is also known as federalism, right? Federal structure of power, federal division of power, which you have studied in the second chapter, right? The same principle is extended to the levels of the government lower than the state government, where you have the panchayats, which you also will be studying in the second chapter in decentralization. Okay, now power is shared among different social groups, religious groups and linguistic groups. As far as this part is concerned, you know that these social groups, religious groups and linguistic groups do operate in various countries. As far as Belgium is concerned, if you remember, I have just dealt with that. Community government is one such example, okay, which has been set up for as the example of the linguistic groups. Linguistic groups talks about the language. Now in some countries there are constitutional legal arrangements which are made in order to make the weaker section get represented in the legislatures and the administration, right? And this type of arrangement is done to give space in the government and administration to various social groups who somehow feel alienated. Then power sharing arrangements are also seen in the way political parties and pressure groups control or influence the ones who are in power. You all know that democracy gives citizens too many rights. And the utmost right which they have is the freedom to speak, freedom to participate in the government, right? Now, that freedom, okay, allows them to choose among the various contenders for power as well. Now, if there will be contenders of powers, there will be competition also, and that competition makes sure that power does not remain in one hand, which I just mentioned in the beginning of the class, okay, about power sharing. Now, if you talk about the long run, then power is shared among different political parties which represent different ideologies and social groups. So sometimes it can be direct, when two or more parties form an alliance to contest elections, and that alliance is what results in the coalition government, which is a further sharing of power, right? You have other communities also who share power, interest groups of those traders, businessmen, industrialists, farmers, industrial workers. They also will have a share in the governmental power, either through participation in the governmental committees or by bringing influence on the decision making process. Okay, now this is all about power sharing in a brief way. This is about your revision. Now, students, what you need to actually remember here more is that you remember what is power in democracy. What have you actually learned from Belgium? Who were the two languages? Which were the two languages that were, spoken at that time? What were the percentage? Okay, so what was a problem in Sri Lanka? How did the two countries dealt with that problem? Okay, what were the new arrangement that came out, that is a community government, okay, whether it was successful or not, right? Then you talk about the importance of power sharing, then why is power sharing important and in what sense. Then you have the prudential reason and moral reason, prudential reason versus moral reason rather, okay. And finally, what are the forms of power sharing, how power is shared among various organs, and why is it effective, okay? What is the significance of this, right? Now, that is all with your first chapter revision class. If you have any doubt regarding any word also, any part of your first chapter regarding the test, please let me know, okay? You have this week only, so try and read it out. Study well, students. I'll stop here for the day. All the very best. Thank you.